So there's going to come a time when we want to send data through components. And like messages, we can take advantage of ProtoPie channels and send data through those as well. Now, when you think about sending data, probably the most obvious thing that might come to mind is text input. So in this lesson, we're going to take a registration flow and we're going to look to see how we can pass data from one text input on one screen to another. Okay, so if you're following along, open up the 08 sending data start file. And when you open up, you'll see we've got two scenes. So in the first scene, we've got this form where we want to capture the user's first name and last name. And we want to take that data and we want to pass it into this second scene. And in this second scene, we've got this personalized message up here at the top, and we want to pass the first name into this text field, into this personalized message. And we're going to create this welcome message. So that's what we're going to create. So if we go back to the first scene, the first thing we need to do is create the text input component. If you find the layer that's called text field -first name, the first thing we're going to do is make that a component. And we're going to open that up. And I'm just going to change the name just to text field because this is just be a generic text field component. We'll use it for all of our text fields. And next thing we need to do is to basically make it a real component. So I'm just going to change the background color to a darker color so I can see the graphics here. And if we open it up, we can see we've got this group, which is just this rounded corner box. So to use text input in ProtoPie, we need to use a special layer called the input layer. So that you'll find under the text menu. So we're going to choose input and we're going to drag out our input field, and we just need to style it so it looks the same as our graphical one. So I'm going to change the fill to white. Going to add a rounded corner to it. So I'm going to use 16 pixels. And I'm also going to turn off the placeholder text. Okay, it looks pretty close. I'm going to put that back in position and I'm just going to delete this graphical layer underneath. Finally, we need to make our label editable. So if we just select it over in the layers panel and hit make editable, and again, we can just make this generic. Let's just call this label. Okay, so that's all we need to do inside this component. We can come back to the scene. Okay, so next let's replace our fake last name with our brand new component. Okay, I'm going to use the same hack that I did in the previous video. So I'm going to come to my text field last name and I'm going to make it a temporary component. I'm then going to use the swap feature, swap it for text field, and I'm just going to rename this so that it's just called text field last name. I'm going to do that for this one, and I just need to change the label here to last name. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is send the inputted text out of the component. Okay, so let's open up the text field component and we're going to come over to the triggers panel. We're going to add a detect trigger. We're going to make sure we target the input field and we're going to select the text property. Inside the detect trigger, we're going to add a send response. And we're going to choose the send to parent channel. And in here, we're going to add our custom message. I'm just going to use the word text. We also want to send value together. And the value we want to send is the text property from the input field. So let's hit the FX button, find our input one text field, type a dot, and then type text for the text property. Click OK. That's all we need to do here. We can now exit the component. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is receive the inputted text. Okay, so we're going to come down to our variables panel and we're going to add a for all scenes variable. This is important. So for all scenes variables can be accessed from any scene in your prototype. We're going to give this a name of first name. And I'm just going to use camel case as I usually do. Okay, we're going to make sure that's a text variable, because we want to receive the text from the input field. Next up, we're going to add a receive trigger, and we're going to choose receive from component. We want to specifically target the first name component. So we're going to go into our target and we're going to choose text field first name. And the message we're looking for is the text message. Okay, so to get to the actual value inside of the message, we have to first assign it to a variable. So let's click the assign to variable checkbox. And from our variables list, we're going to choose that first name variable we just created. Okay, so we can test that everything is working by tracing the variable. Okay, so let's come to our variable and we're going to tap the little bug icon to the right-hand side. That's going to give us this little green box. And we're just going to place that somewhere in the scene. Let's now open up preview. And we can start by typing some text. So you need to use your actual keyboard, not this fake keyboard inside a preview. And if I start typing my name, you can see that the message that I'm typing, the text that I'm typing is appearing in this variable. So everything looks like it's working as expected. Okay, so next we're going to take that variable value and use it in our second scene. Okay, so let's go to the second scene here. And we're going to come to the triggers panel. We're going to add a start trigger. And we want to select start with jump. And the reason we want to do that is because start with jump will execute just before the scene renders. We want this value to already be there. Otherwise, you'll see a little blink of it not being there and then kind of appearing. Okay, so next up, we're going to add a text response inside of this start trigger. We're going to choose the title text layer. And we're going to come into our content. I'm going to change it from text to formula. And we're going to open up the formula window and we're going to add a formula here. So it's going to be a bit of a mix of text and the variable. So the first thing we want to do is construct this message. So we can see already, we've already got this message here. Hi there, comma, and then we've got name, which is where our variable is going to go, comma. We just need a few more details. So we need to construct that whole message again inside of this formula. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to type some double quotes and I'm going to type hi there, comma. And I actually need to put a space in as well. So I can do it in either part, but I'll do it here. Okay, so I need to now add to that our variable value. So I'm going to go and find that. That's our first name. Remember, it's our variable for all scenes. So you can see it's appearing here on this scene as well. Okay, so we got that in. We now need to add another plus because we need to add the last part of the message. We're going to open up our double quotes. And inside here, we're going to put the comma, space. We just need a few more details. Must be fun hearing me do this. Okay, so that's all we need to do. Let's click OK. Oh, you can see I've got a spelling mistake there. Let me just go and fix that. Hi there, first name. We just need a few more details. Okay, looks good. Let's click OK on that. Okay, so finally, we need to add the ability to jump between the two scenes. So let's go back to the first scene. We're going to add a tap trigger. We're going to target the next button. So that's this button here, button next. We're going to add a jump response inside of here so we can jump to the second scene. Choose the second scene. It will only show you one scene because we've only got two scenes in this prototype and you can't jump to the scene you're on. And you can select your transition of choice. I'm just going to use an instant transition here. And that's all we need to do. We probably want to just turn off this tracing variable so I can just uncheck the bug there. Okay, so let's open up preview and give this a whirl. So I'm going to type in my first name and then I'm going to click the next button. And there you go. We can see we've got our personalized message. Hi there, Darren. We just need a few more details. Okay, so as you can see, we've successfully transferred our message from one scene to another. And as you can imagine, this only really scratches the surface of what you can do with data inside of ProtoPie. You can send numeric values, you can send color values, you can even send calculated values. So anything you can do mathematically, you can calculate and send that as well. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.